Der 23 November 1947.
Israel right now, its Hasbara, is really focused on explaining. The definition of the word, Hasbara is explaining. And so this whole concept takes place in a very defensive paradigm. The idea is that people are accusing you of things, they're saying very negative things about you, and the response to this is to explain why these things aren't true. And it's basically always going to be a loser. There's never that much you can do when you're explaining someone's false charges against you. They seem to view themselves as being in sort of a courtroom drama where there's a jury that is going to sit and patiently listen to both sides of the argument, and the prosecution is going to say that Israel's doing bad things, and the defense is going to say that that's not true, and they're going to present all the evidence to prove that the charges are false, and the jury's going to sit there and render a very impartial verdict and find Israel innocent of these charges. That's not actually the paradigm that we're in, and it's why the whole Hasbara effort, I think, is quite misguided, because the paradigm we're in is that there's actually a negative political campaign being waged against Israel, and it uses the media, it creates crises for Israel that Israel then has to respond to, such as the flotilla, such as various incidents that have happened in the past, allegations of massacres, things like that. And the way that Israel handles this is to assume that they're in this, to assume a very defensive posture and explain why these allegations aren't true. And all you end up doing is giving more fuel to the narrative against you, prolonging the discussion about the crime that you supposedly committed. And when you finally get around to marshaling all the evidence about why you're innocent, no one's paying attention anymore. The media firestorm has ended, and everyone just goes away thinking that Israel's the bad guy. The way that any good political consultant will tell you that when your opponent is waging a negative campaign against you and they're throwing mud at you and telling lies about you, the way you handle it is you go on the offensive. You don't play defense. You don't try to explain it all away and validate their charges. You attack them. And it's something that the pro-Israel world is very uncomfortable doing and needs to become more comfortable doing, is attacking the people and the organizations and the institutions that are involved in waging this war of delegitimization and waging this war of lies and deception against Israel. And by doing this, you will shift the focus onto them. And you make them justify themselves, and you make them validate why they're doing these things. I think Jews in particular are accustomed to a culture of debate, and in particular, I think the diaspora experience of Jews has created a kind of ethos among Jews of trying to be inoffensive. That the way to maintain your safety and protect yourselves as a small group of people, especially, and even now here in this small country in a region of states and people that don't like Jews very much and don't like Israel, that the way to handle this is to show your willingness to criticize yourself, and show your willingness to investigate yourself, and show your willingness to show how hard you work at being inoffensive, and therefore because of that people will say, oh, we're not afraid of you, we don't hate you, you're very nice people, look at how nice you are, you're so fair. That's just not the way the world works, and that was a losing strategy in the diaspora, and it's a losing strategy for the state of Israel as well.
Since the inception of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights half a century ago, the world has watched a series of genocides and human atrocities.
The racism is starting in the UN itself.
The trouble with the United Nations is you can be a member of the Human Rights Council without having the least bit of interest in protecting human rights.
For the Durban Review Conference, I will tell you clearly, I don't put a big hope.
The problem is that the International Criminal Court has no enforcement powers.
I wouldn't throw the system away because not all states are accepting exactly the same rules.